Welcome. Today we're figuring out if PCI DSS applies to you and how to handle card data like a pro. PCI DSS isn't just for big banks, it's for anyone touching credit card data. Here's a PCI DSS overview. PCI DSS isn't just for big banks, it's for anyone who touches credit card data. Now, here are two acronyms that you must know, the CHD and the SAD. CHD is credit card holder data, and SAD is sensitive authenticative data. Compliance is decided by the payment brands and the acquirers. If you have any questions, you can contact them for more information as well. Remember the acronyms CHD and SAD. They will be used a lot during this whole process. Think of PAN as the key. Everything around it gets the full security treatment. PAN is also another acronym for primary account number that you'll need to understand and retain as well. Now, the account data can include the full PAN and cardholder data and or sensitive authenticative data. Also, if the name, service code, or expiration date is within PAN, you must protect it. CDE is another acronym that's widely used a lot, and it's called Cardholder Data Environment. This exists if you store, process, or transmit the PAN, which is the primary account number. Now, you might think you're off the hook if you have no personal account number, but sadly, if you get the sensitive authenticative data, which is like the CVV or the expiration date, that alone will trigger the rules. Also, PCI DSS applies if you store the sensitive authenticative data and or you use third-party providers because you send them the primary account number. Your infrastructure impacts the cardholder data security. For example, you have a form on your website and you take information that follows under PCI DSS security. And if you store cardholder data on physical media, that's also covered by PCI DSS compliance. You must encrypt all data if stored and so on. Now, this table represents what can be stored, and if you can store it, then you must encrypt it unreadable. Primary account number is only permitted after truncation or with controls in place. And yes, you must make it unreadable. Now, the cardholder name, the service code, and the expiration date are permitted to be stored. And you don't have to render it unreadable as well, but you do need to encrypt it if you're transmitting it from your site to a bank. The same applies to the full track data, the CVV, and the PIN. Now, as for storing those three, those are not permitted at all for storing at all. But you still need to encrypt it. The transmission of the data to the bank must be encrypted. Sensitive authentication data cannot be stored post-authorization even when the transmission is encrypted. And here's a real-world example. A card is swiped. The PIN is used. A CDE is created, a cardholder data environment. They must encrypt the transmission to stay compliant. This is just an overview. The customer shops at a merchant, the merchant processes this card, sends the card to the bank. As soon as that information gets transferred to the bank, that transmission needs to be encrypted. And then the bank talks to the issuer bank, which is basically where the customer's money's at. And they say, yeah, they have the funds in the account. That whole communication needs to be encrypted. That's basically what this is talking about. Here's another example when they process payments online. The customer enters in the personal account number on the site. The payment form is generated on your website. Security is going to be mandatory. Data gets transmitted to the payment gateway. Then the processor handles the request and the bank authorizes it. So for online payments, even if your server only generates the form, it still processes or redirects cardholder data. This falls under the PCI DSS requirements. If the form is not secure, it could lead to data breaches. Now there's insecure versus secured. Insecured is basically plain text. Secured is you're encrypting the data. Use strong encryption for stored PAN, personal account numbers. Never store sensitive authenticative data. If you're using a third party, vet them. What that means is do your research, make sure they're PCI compliant. If they're not, don't use them. If they are, use them. Now, if you're sending PAN numbers, personal account numbers over the internet, always tokenize it. Now, if you're using Stripe or PayPal, they cover that part for you automatically. Here's some key PCI DSS requirements. These are going to be the big four. If you skip one, fines awaits you. 80% of the breaches come from weak access controls. Use firewalls to secure your network. Use encryption to protect your data. Use least privilege for access control, meaning give people that need access and deny everyone else. Not everybody needs access to this data. Always monitor your logs and test on a regular basis to stay in compliance. Don't learn the hard way by getting fines and lawsuits, because that could end up giving you a bad reputation and even able to take the credit card payments from the customer away from you. Here's an example of a company back in 2013. Target had a breach that cost them $300 million. That's a lot of money to be spending that should have been secured and protected in the first place. Would you spend $200,000 a year to protect your credit card environment and instead find $300 million? In order to stay compliant, here are some pro tips. Do audits annually. Train staff on data handling. It's very important to train your staff annually. Use tokenization for storage if you're storing anything. Test incident response quarterly. You should have an incident response in place. If this happens, what do you do? And test it to see if it actually would work, or maybe things have changed over the year from previous year, then you change it. Now, you could also start small by running a self-assessment questionnaire today called a SAC-A. It's very small, 22 questions. The picture shows more check boxes that you should follow as well. Do you have any questions? Post in the comments below. Also comment your biggest PCI challenge. I would love to hear that. Thank you for watching my video. If you've liked, drop a like if this has helped you out a lot, and subscribe for more videos. And I'll see you on the next chapter.